Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. No, not the war room. Somewhere almost, do I say cooler? I think cooler, especially this desk. I mean, look at this desk, it's crazy. We are here at the house of David Zaritsky, the premier Bond enthusiast and channel on YouTube. So it's really cool to meet a fellow YouTuber. We're going to take a look at some incredibly interesting memorabilia. His collection is, without a shadow of a doubt, the coolest I've ever seen, and obviously the watches of the movie as well. So very special episode. So without further ado, let's take a look. Anyway, do you like my Bond villain chair? I think I might have to get one of these.
So it begins, and one of the things I wanted to show to you is its chronological order.
Right.
So immediately right off the bat, we start with 1962 with Dr. No.
Of course,
right?
of course, yeah.
And what you're going to notice right away is, first of all, I love the poster art.
Yeah.
To me, the artwork of the poster, so every piece of the collection has a supporting poster. And by the way, you're touching something very important.
Right.
This is a lifestyle collection.
Sorry, should I not touch?
You can touch.
Yeah,
As a
okay.
matter of fact, on the inside of this, check out the detail. It says, property of Dr. Julius No, Crab Key.
Wow.
As if, you know, Connery's character walked away with the robe.
That's crazy. That's
But
great.
one of the things I love about this collection is it has a mix. It has screen used or screen accurate wardrobe. It has props. It has gadgets. To me and you, I think what's of most interest is it's got a lot of lifestyle products.
Right.
So you've got Red Stripe, you've got Tabasco. People are like, why do you have Tabasco sauce? Well, it was seen in the movie.
Yeah.
Over here, you've got the case from Russia with Love.
Ah, the famous case.
The famous
right.
case. And even
Does the blades pop out and stuff?
this one doesn't. It's
Right.
a static replica. There's ones out there.
Yeah.
I just didn't get one.
Right.
But even like Blofeld's thing that he has the chairs go flying back. Doesn't work, unfortunately. I've tried it.
Oh,
down to the rings, the glasses.
Oh man, this is crazy.
And to me, you're a detail guy. You'll appreciate this.
Right.
The devil's in the details.
Yeah.
So even the correct lamp from the Orient Express that was used on the train.
Oh wow.
Like trying to find those moments that some people just won't know, but
Yeah.
they can find out.
Yeah. So, then Goldfinger.
Yeah.
Right. Nice.
And this tends to be a lot of people's favorites because people think Goldfinger is that quintessential moment where Bond became Bond. Like everything else was a bit of a rehearsal, but
Right.
this really connects, the Dom Perignon to the Slazenger to the golfing aspects to the gold. To the toweling onesie.
Right. Yeah.
Which who shouldn't have that in their collection?
Yeah.
And don't ask me if I've tried that on because the answer is yes. But that's what I love about this. And then we go right to Thunderball. Again,
Thunderball, right.
going in chronological order because why not? And we're continuing with the lifestyle brands. So, I mean, I think one of the reasons why I connected with the brands is I think the brands are synonymous with Bond.
Yeah.
They're part of the luxury.
Right.
So you've got Fred Perry, you've got Claston sunglasses. I mean, you could just go through here and it's...
Brand-wise, which was your favorite?
Oh gosh, it's probably some of the more recent ones.
Oh really?
Yeah, like Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace have some of my favorite brands.
Right,
for sure.
Right. Let's move on.
Yeah, so we move on, still sticking with Connery.
Right.
So now we've got You Only Live Twice.
Nice. Nice.
So now you can see that this is kind of thinned out a little bit, but it's very thematically Japanese.
Right.
So now we take environment with place, and I start to also involve some of my travels with some of the places. So my wife and I...
Right, because you've done videos at some of these places as well, right?
Exactly. We've been to many of the locations. So what we'll do is, this is Switzerland and Austria and Portugal. So where we've traveled, we'll actually put in little travel moments in there as well.
Nice.
That's for us, it's for our family, it's less about the collector, but then you just fill it up with all these lifestyle pieces.
Nice. It's almost like a Bond museum.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'll tell you, it's interesting because when you come around the corner, that's a relatively small space.
Right.
And you're like,
And then
this is a
boom.
nice collection.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the room opens up like a bowling alley and you're like, this is going to be difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
So then what was next? Diamonds
Are Forever. Yeah,
right.
campy. but
Yeah,
fun.
But fun, yeah.
So what we decided to do, and by the way, the display itself, to me, is 50% of my fun in collecting.
Right.
So I do 100% of the displays. I like to consider myself a creative individual.
Right.
So I'm a CEO of a pharmaceutical advertising agency.
Right.
So this is my weekend ship in a bottle moment of taking something and building an environment. So we went camp. We put diamonds here. We've got, it's not a dead cat, I swear to God, it's stuffed. PETA, please.
Yeah.
No harsh emails. But we filled it up with these really interesting
florist.
moments.
I see florist.
Florist.
So I didn't even know it. Did he use it in the movie?
So he didn't use it in the movie, but
Right.
in the book, Diamonds Are Forever,
Ah,
Fleming referred to this. So that's a great point.
yeah.
There are moments in here that I incorporate from book to movie.
Right.
So back over here, for example, he used Eucharist dressing in the book itself. He
Right.
didn't use it in the movie.
When Fleming talked about watches, there's some debate as to what the real Bond watch was, and
Yeah, and it's a fact that Fleming talked more about the villain's lifestyle than Bond's, and he did that on purpose because he wanted every male to really be able to imprint themselves on Bond. So the more he talked about Bond, the less you could say, well, that's Tristana or that's David. So that's one of the reasons he did that.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So then it was Roger Moore, right?
It is,
Roger
and
Moore.
we've got this sign right here, which is the alligator sign, the crocodile sign, trespassers will eaten. This poor guy, happily gave his life, so again, don't write to me. But then we start with the watches.
The watches,
right?
So and the Pulsar, right?
That is the Pulsar watch.
Fantastic.
Yeah, very good. And again, filled with lifestyle moments like even his shaver,
Yeah.
which took me, I'm not exaggerating, 14 years to find the right one.
Really?
In its unused phase. You
My
could buy lots
God.
of creepy used ones, but
Yeah.
no thank you. No thank you.
I don't blame you.
So we swing over here, and this is just a nice little sitting area that you can
Right.
all gather, but we continue with the Roger Moore with the Golden Gun.
Nice.
And this is the Golden Gun corner. So we
Right.
have yet another Golden Gun filled with all types of accoutrements.
Right.
And again, I think with Roger Moore especially,
Yeah.
because he was a little bit more camp and
Yeah.
a little more buoyant, the posters themselves are so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
colorful, he's doing crazy things. It was a sign of the times. But we've
Absolutely.
got laser guns, some of them work.
Which do you think was the most outrageous?
Moonraker
Yeah.
is pretty close, but Octopussy's a pretty good one too.
Yeah.
I mean, they use that tennis racket as a weapon in one of the scenes.
Right.
So they're on the tuk-tuk and the guy's swinging it around like this, and I'm like,
I
no.
remember. Wasn't there a blunderbuss at some
There
point?
was,
Right,
yeah.
right,
Which, who doesn't like that in a
Yeah,
Bond movie?
exactly.
But even this, I mean, a ski pole that is also a gun. When he shoots that.
I remember that.
Yeah, he's
it's-
going backwards, and he's like, I mean,
Right,
that's-
yes.
Could you imagine Daniel Craig doing that
No.
nowadays? Probably not. Probably not.
No. Oh, this is fantastic.
Yeah, this is fun because, again, it's one of these things. Hold out your hand. I'm a big believer. I want you to touch everything.
Right.
I want you to feel the weight of what that
Jesus.
must have been like to put in his mouth and do
So
that.
I presume this was modeled on him.
That's modeled. This is a replica. But one of the things is he could only hold those in his mouth for less than a minute at a time.
Yeah,
and then he would have to take
heavy.
it out. Yeah.
Yeah, that is heavy.
Excruciatingly painful.
I always presumed they were, kind of faux metal something, but this is
They were metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
very cool. Very cool.
But that's
indeed.
part of like you, with what you do with watches, everything has a story.
Right.
And that's what I love about it. The smallest little thing has an incredible story of gathering, of the journey, and then the connection to the movies.
Right.
We fly over here. I've had moments with Bond girls.
Lots
Like
of
with the crossbow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
She signed it and everything, which was
Man,
cool.
That's so cool. I see a lot of Seikos here. We'll come back for that. We'll come back for that.
Yeah, they had some interesting brand engagement. So especially less with Sean Connery, more with Roger Moore. They started to get into contracts with brands.
Right.
And they started to do more advertising.
Right.
So yeah, Seiko, Casio, all those types of things really hit a crescendo.
Right.
And then we go to some of the more outrageous, and then ones that maybe Bond fans want to forget.
Um,
But it was outrageous. I mean, we even have, the butterfly that hits the guy's face and poisons
Yes.
him.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
And it's interesting when I have Bond fans that are kind of mildly Bond fans come down. It's amazing to see what
Sorry,
they gravitate
I'm
to.
gonna have to.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
have to.
Do it.
Oh wow, that's
So that's just a regular gas one. We actually have stunt ones that are made out of like a hard resin and a rubber. Obviously the Walther PPK.
Right.
We have Walther PPKSs, Walther P99s.
Very nice. Very nice.
Something for everyone.
Nice.
And then swinging over here, we start with Goldeneye.
Right.
We have his jump jacket from the Dam Scene.
Oh wow.
All
So
the way-
wait, this is it his actual? He jumped in this.
So that is a reproduction of one.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a great question because when you put screen accurate and replica amidst a lot of screen used, you should ask the question like, was he actually in this?
Yeah.
This is taken from the pattern that they use. So the costume designer created a pattern, and there were a certain amount of replicas made from that.
Right.
And that's what that is.
Right. I understand.
All the way through to some of his gadgets to
Yeah. There we go.
good. So this is my first emotional watch story, which I know we'll talk about a little
Yes,
bit later, but
yes.
make sure you ask me about that.
Oh,
watch.
I will, because it's
Yeah.
an important watch for me as well. So
Okay, good,
yeah,
good. Yeah, and it really started this whole connection, which is why it's surrounded by a lot of the things that Brosnan used. And I liked Brosnan.
Yeah, no, I did too. Goldeneye was, I love Goldeneye. I think it was great.
It still holds up well. I saw it a few weeks ago, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
World is not enough. Don't mind the severed stunt head.
Right.
Over here, my collection starts to really transform. And with Die Another Day, that's when I was like, you know something? I'm not so much into the wardrobe. I want his cufflinks. I want a shaver. I want his watch. I want all those pieces that I could then take out into the world.
Right,
I mean,
right.
you know, wearing this out in the world might be a little bit strange.
Yeah. And you couldn't wear the onesie or
You could,
Yeah, you could.
but you might get hurt.
Yeah.
So that's why you'll see kind of once we hit Daniel Craig and they
Yeah.
really said we want to marinate men into the brands. I mean, this is where it really hit it hard. So most of this that you see is screen used.
Right.
This screen used. Many of the props in here, screen used. And that's when I started to kind of put this all together and say, this is where the collection kind of hits the road.
I see there's an emphasis much more on Daniel Craig. He's your favorite.
You know something? Connery is my favorite.
Really?
He's my favorite. To me, this is all around access. So with the
Right.
Daniel Craig movies,
Because we're in the era of Daniel Craig.
it's accessible.
Right.
So it was easy for me to walk into Harrods or another place.
Right.
Or even, quite frankly, to call a brand like Sophie Harley of London, who made a lot of the jewelry and accessories, and say, hi, Sophie, this is David Zaritsky. I run a vlog on YouTube. Hey, couldn't do that with Sean Connery's people because they're all dead
Yeah.
or out of
Right.
business.
Makes sense.
So this really is about accessibility. Craig is a close second, though,
Yeah.
as far as my favorite Bond.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then we just swing over this way. And again, some of the prime, you know, if you ask me what was my favorite piece in the collection, they kind of gravitate around here.
Right.
Love this Armani jacket that he wore in the airport scene
That's
for
very
Casino
nice.
Royale.
I love the Harrington. Who makes this?
Tom Ford.
Tom Ford.
Yeah.
Right.
Tom Ford makes that Harrington. This is by Adidas Y3.
Uh-huh.
And then screen used bad guy outfits, kind of doing that. That's green and that's Lashif.
Ah, right.
And those are their screen used outfits.
Wow.
And then we start to get into, again, some of the weaponry, but again, details. I mean, what I love about collecting movie memorabilia in general is who knew that they would make her license? They don't need to. They hold it up for 2 seconds, but sure enough, they put all the details, even a little crease in there.
Wow.
So the attention to detail is amazing. And then Skyfall.
I loved Skyfall. I thought it was
Skyfall
great.
was
Yeah.
amazing. A lot of
Yeah.
people meh about Quantum.
Yeah.
I liked it, but Skyfall, kind of hard to find somebody that didn't love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was your favorite of the Daniel Craig so far?
Casino Royale.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me it was the perfect film. And actually it's the film when somebody says, my girlfriend, my wife, my cousin has never been into Bond, what should I watch? I go, Casino Royale.
Casino.
It's got something for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
2015's
Wow.
Spectre. And this is really filled up, and I'll explain.
Access, right?
Access, and also this is when Eon Productions really started to embrace the influencers.
Ah.
And they said, you know, David, we'd love you to fly to Austria. And we're going to take you through this new exhibit. And we'd love you to go here. And we're going to take you through this museum. And we're opening up a museum in New York City. And, you know, would you mind if... And so they were very gracious in creating a list of influencers that could really take part in these experiences. So that's why you see so many of these things littered.
Interesting. So I guess it's the franchise also embracing social media and
Absolutely.
yeah. Oh, that's refreshing to see.
In a really big way. They're actually pretty savvy with social media and what it does, to the point where they look at not just how many likes do you have and followers, they look at your engagement, they look at what age group you're looking at, and also geography. So the United States is a big geography for them.
Right.
You know, who are those individuals that can push the content to a particular geography?
Right.
Very smart about it.
Okay, guys. So we've seen your incredible collection. I'm still speechless. Also because I've been watching you for years. So it's a big honor and slightly surreal being here. You know.
I'm glad to have you. I mean, the collection is here to be seen. So
cool. I guess let's start right at the beginning. Why Bond?
Why Bond? That is a good question. I constantly ask myself that.
Right.
But I think Bond himself is just a very capable individual. And I try to sum it up in one word of, he's capable. You know, he's capable of understanding fine wines, great cars, locations, getting out of danger, escapism, all these wonderful things. And as I try to think about emulation from a lifestyle standpoint, he likes the finer things in life.
Right.
I mean, we have bits of Bond and Bond has bits of us.
Yeah.
Good watches, sunglasses, clothing. I mean, it's all of those trappings. The misogyny and murder, not so much.
Yeah, not
but
so much.
everything else, you just have to embrace it.
Today, let's do a quick wristwatch check.
Oh.
What are you wearing, sir?
I am wearing the Casino Royale Planet Ocean. This was released around the time of Casino Royale. It's screen accurate. I did not get the one with the 007 dial or anything like that.
Nice.
And no matter which watch I have gotten after 2006, this is the one I tend to go back to.
Very cool, very cool. It's a big beast.
45.5.
45, wow.
It's real estate. When I first got it and I was wearing the bracelet as opposed to the rubber strap, I used to call it real estate.
Right.
I said, it's big. And you know, I said, can I pull it off? And I said, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it.
Ah, you wear it well.
Thank you.
You wear it well. In your honor, I put my closest watch to any other Bond watch. Well, you could say Seiko perhaps, but the Pussy Galore, she wore the first GMT, but this is the GMT Master one. So
nice.
So we have. How many Bond watches do you think you have?
So I did a quick count because you did ask me before, and I think I've got about 9.
9.
Yeah, when all is said and done.
And from each era, or?
From different ones, yeah. I mean, I think my earliest one that I have is one of the early Roger Moores, and it kind of goes through. And I think the reason I love the Roger Moore ones, because you have Seiko and Casio, is because it was the first time that the Bond movie started to do advertisements and contracts. And so they would approach these companies and say, would you like your watch to be on James Bond? Yes, we would. I would also like some money. Well, okay, here you go for production. And I mean, if you take a look at today, you know, all the way up till 2015, they continue in that fashion. I mean, clearly Omega paid quite a bit to have its presence in the James Bond film.
Which, because obviously he started out with Rolex, and then there was a Gruen as well.
Yes.
And, that was Dr. No, right?
It was.
It was,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And then Seiko, then Omega, right? And
correct.
Then, there was
Casio
Pulsar
in there.
There was a Pulsar, which you have got as well.
That's right. There was a Pulsar thrown in there, which was bizarre when people saw it because it was one of the first kind of, LED
LED,
type
yeah.
things, and he lit it up and they do a real nice close-up
Yeah,
on it. So
yeah.
it's fantastic.
In your opinion, which watches do you think worked best and which not so much?
I quite like the usage of the Tomorrow Never Dies Seamaster
Right.
Omega watch. And the reason I like that is because it was everything. It was a laser,
Yeah.
it triggered, a projectile. It was the quintessential gadget watch.
And I have to ask, how long have you been into James Bond?
I've been into James in a big way since I've been about 34, and I'm 51 right now.
Right.
To give you an idea. I was always into James Bond. So this is a psychologist dream, I promise you. My father was a very successful entrepreneur and businessman. We did not go in the back and play catch. We wouldn't sit and watch baseball or anything like that. That's just not the type of guy he was. But I clearly remember whenever there was a James Bond film on, he'd be like, David, come on, we're going to watch James Bond together.
Nice.
So I'm pretty sure there's some sort of psychological issue going on.
Right. No, that's a sweet
can't stop
story.
it.
It's
Thank you.
nice.
Thank
It's
you.
like
You have a very positive attitude too.
well, thank you. So I got to ask, because the Brosnan Omega over there,
Yeah.
that's very special for you. It's very special for me as well because of it was my first luxury watch. So have you got a similar story about?
We are brothers.
Right.
I'm now absolutely sure of it. So it's exactly what it was. I was 34 years old. I was a newly appointed managing director. I had some foldable money for the first time.
Right.
And I said to myself, and I was really falling back into love with Bond, and I said, I'm going to treat myself. Can't get his car. New house seemed inappropriate at the time, but I'm going to do this, and it's going to hurt the investment, but I'm going to get this luxury watch. So not only did I fall in love with the movie moments, not only was it this kind of representation of a new hobby that I was adopting, this was a special treat to myself, my first luxury watch that I would appreciate. And by the way, this is terrible because I know you preach against this. I was almost too cautious about wearing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I would wear it on special occasions for the first few months.
Oh, I was very much the same back in the day, I think. But I noticed with your special edition, you wear this. This got,
do.
And you were telling me earlier, when they were going to service it, they asked you.
They did. Omega took a look at it. I've got a little notch on the bezel.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, Mr. Zaritsky, we can replace that for you. And I said, not in your life. That's like taking a memory or part of my journey as a person and replacing it with a new, improved memory. I'm who I am, and I loved how you put it, scars and all.
Yeah.
So please, no plastic surgery yet.
Right.
Yet.
Not yet. I was going to say the same thing because I get emails all the time asking, there's a scratch on the bezel, or there's a scratch on one of the lugs, and who should I send it to? And it's like, enjoy it. It's what makes it yours, right?
It's a badge of your life.
And I'm so pleased that you wear this. I mean, so tell me about this special edition.
This special edition, and it does have some special aspects to it, very rare. It's flown up in price. My gosh, even used ones are going for like $11,000. This was something that Omega released in all its beautiful presentation glory.
Beautiful box.
Beautiful box. It came with the bracelet and tools and even a branded 007 loop. And it was really to the market of people that said, I want to own a piece of the movie. And this was a gadget in the movie.
Right.
So in the movie, there's a wonderful scene with Q. They even used it in some of the Omega commercials where he's like, I'm not going to give you this Aston Martin, but I'm going to give you this watch. And he goes, what does it do? And he goes, it tells the time, which I loved.
Nice.
But what I also loved about it is my incredible wife, who's very supportive of this world that I created around us.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, she's super supportive. So I will tell you, we were flying to go to the premiere of the movie in London. And we were in Austria for the first part of our trip. And we were at the airport, and she said, you should get the watch. And we did, and it was a last minute thing, and it was, an early birthday gift, but it was never going to be pristine because I made a choice right then and there. I was going to wear it at the premiere.
Good for you. Yeah.
And you better believe I was showing everybody, look at my watch, look at my watch.
Nice.
Great moment.
Nice. I have to say, with Omega, there's always going to be that argument of Rolex versus Omega. I have a theory that the real Bond watch, it's a ridiculous idea, but Fleming said it was some kind of oyster perpetual. He didn't say the model. And then legend has it Connery was lent a Submariner from somebody on the set.
The director,
was that
actually.
right? The director,
Yeah,
right.
the director.
So tell me a little bit about how that went down.
Well, it was interesting because Connery was not a refined individual at that point.
Right.
He was a coffin maker. You know, he would carry crates, but he was the perfect design and make of Bond. But they actually had to train him how to wear a suit. We didn't have a nice watch. And they only had $1 million for Dr. No. That was the entire budget all in,
Right.
including advertising.
Wow.
So literally the director said he needs a nice
That's
watch.
like nothing these days. Right?
Nothing. It's
dropping
catering costs.
Yeah.
So they said basically he needs a nice watch. The director literally took the watch off of his wrist and gave it to Connery.
Wow. Wow. And that's,
Yeah.
do you think that...
I do think Fleming met Rolex too.
Yeah.
In fact, it's an interesting nod if you notice in Casino Royale when Vesper and him
that
are
conversation,
talking.
yeah.
I can't believe they put that. When she goes, people with gorgeous watches, Rolex, and he goes, Omega. She goes, gorgeous. Yeah. I can't believe they did that because it was a nod to the fact that Fleming and Bond,
Right.
it's Rolex.
Yeah, that scene, that was it. Yeah, it's incredible that they were able to put that in and get around, can you use brand names directly like that?
Yeah.
Especially two together, it's a little bit controversial, I guess.
Very, and I'm with you because to the point where I purchased the Rolex 5513 No Date. It was kind of the reissue of the Live and Let Die version.
Nice.
You won't see it today in the collection because my wife adopted it permanently.
Nice.
She literally came to me, and good for her, she said, "You're not wearing this enough." And I said, "I guess you are."
Cool. Oh, your wife sounds fantastic.
She's awesome.
And she's so understanding of this and
Super cool.
yeah.
Well, and by the way, I have people, maybe your wife gets this too.
Yeah.
I have people all the time saying, "Dave, poor Danielle." And they go up to Danielle and they go, "You're such a saint, and she has a perfect reply. She basically says, well, let me get a question. So I'm a saint because we go to great locations. We travel well. We're surrounded by interesting brands. We engage with incredible people. Poor me, what?
Yeah.
Like she gets it. And she has a perfect retort to those people.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. So Fleming wore the 1016 Explorer. The Modern Explorer is one of my favorite watches.
Oh, nice.
I even actually refer to it as the Fleming in a kind of
perfect
honor to him.
Yeah.
It seems a bit silly, but what do you think is the Bond watch for you? I mean, that suited Bond the most.
Gosh, that is a great question. I have to go back to the Rolex.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Despite your love, obviously, for Omega.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'll lose followers for this, but I do think that a lot of the Omegas satisfied the Bond of the time. Like obviously the Seamaster was perfect for Brosnan, kind of the steel band. But there's something about the Rolex that's just very traditional.
Yeah.
Especially with the NATO band, for example.
And also, I think Rolex does have that little nod to British history because Hans Wilsdorf, big Anglophile.
Yeah.
The link to the military subs later. That being said, Omega does have a long tradition. I mean, the only Omega I own now is the Spitfire Omega from World War II that they made for RAF pilots.
Oh my gosh.
So there's a link. I think Omega gets a pass. I've been meaning to ask you.
Yeah.
Your favorite moment with a watch in a Bond film?
Oh wow, that's great. All right, so it's a Rolex moment.
Okay, nice.
My favorite, the one that just got me giddy as a kid and gets me giddy as an adult, is when Roger Moore is hanging above the sharks in Live and Let Die, and he's all bound to Jane Seymour.
Yeah.
And he starts the kind of like the chainsaw type of thing with the Rolex, and that was the 5513. There's a lot of second and third places that involve the Omega with lasers and explosions and things like that, but it was so subtle. And just so well done. I love it.
That was incredible. Thank
you. Liked it?
Yeah, thank you so
good,
much.
good.
So just to wrap things up, what's in the future for the Bond experience?
Oh, you know, we're going to be doing obviously more experiential things with Bond community and Bond brands, but it's about doing more events and more locations and getting out there into the Bond world and just trying to bring it here onto YouTube.
Nice, nice. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
It's been a bit of a strange moment, but a wonderfully surreal, and you know, I've been watching you for years, so it's crazy to be here. I've really enjoyed it.
Wonderful.
Guys, I hope you've enjoyed it too. Please do subscribe to David's channel. I'll leave all the necessary links down below. It kind of pains me to leave now, but anyway.
It's okay, we have a guest room.
Nice, nice.
More than
I'm
welcome.
definitely staying, I'm definitely. So don't forget to add your thoughts, queries, comments, opinions, all the rest of it down below. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao. Now, before I go, guys, I just want to quickly tell you about this extremely cool app that Watchbox have launched. This is my own personal go-to app for everything watch related. Using the app, you can keep track of the real-time value of your watch collection. You can store watches in your digital watch box and even try on watches using an augmented reality. So don't miss out, and please go to the App Store and download it today. You can access all of my latest videos right there in the app itself. And if you haven't already, please follow me on the official Urban Gentry Instagram and of course the Facebook UGWC. But most importantly of all, keep it positive, onwards and upwards.